The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, hello everyone. So we're going to get started here shortly with our SEEK webinar today, and so we're going to go over the Building Operator Certification Program. So I think this really fits in pretty well with, you're probably already familiar with our strategic plan goals that we have in the state, and so I thought it'd be helpful to share a little bit more about this program so that local governments can take advantage and just learn more about it and see if it fits well with your community. So I will hand it over now. Oh, I should introduce myself, actually. I already forgot that. So I'm Kerry Garcia, the statewide local government energy efficiency best practices coordinator. So I think some of you are probably already familiar with me by looking at the participants on here. So if you have any questions later on, we'll have some information for contacting Melanie, who will be presenting on behalf of the BOC program. And then you can also find a copy of this presentation and the slides on ecoordinator.info later on. So I'll let Melanie take over from here.
Great, thanks, Carrie. Welcome, everyone. My name is Melanie Danuser. I'm the project director for the Building Operator Certification Program. We're based here in the Northwest, so we're in Seattle, Washington, but we administer the program internationally now. And joining me on the call is my colleague, Cynthia Putnam. She's a fellow project director, so I just wanted to take a minute to introduce Cynthia.
Thank you, Melanie. Hello, everyone.
And I'll go ahead and click over to our agenda for the day. And before I kind of review what we're here to accomplish, I wanted to just address a few housekeeping items. I believe everyone has entered in mute. Let me just check that. Yeah, everyone has been muted. It's just the way the system operates. So I'm happy to take questions as we go through the presentation. The most organized way to do that is by asking you to use the chat function. Cynthia will be monitoring the chat function, so if you have a question throughout the presentation, feel free to enter it there, and she can interrupt me and ask the question, and some of them might be more appropriate to save to the end. So we've addressed that, and I thought we could start with a summary. Thank you all for joining us, and just a summary of what we want to accomplish today, which is really to give you all an overview of the Building Operator Certification Program and credentials. We do have we have a stackable credential model now. I would also like to review with you some of our training content and learning outcome from that training. I'll also review with you our eligibility and certification requirements. And then really specific to you as SEEK members is to talk about the benefits that BOC offers to California city and county governments. We also, and I'm checking my list here to see, yeah, Lee is on the call. I'm hoping that, so we have some of your colleagues there who are going to share their experience with the BOC program and how it's benefited them. So when the time comes, I will take you, Lee, off mute, as well as Kelly. I'm hoping Kelly might be with Lee, and let you guys share. Oh, Lee has a question, so hopefully she's communicating with Cynthia. So
yes, Melanie. Kelly and Lee have just chatted in that they're here.
Oh, great, wonderful. Okay. I should have organized that they were panelists so they could speak and introduce themselves, but we'll do that in just a little bit. So I'm excited. Thank you to Kelly and Lee. I'm excited to have them here to share their experience with you. And we have allowed some time for questions and answers throughout the agenda and at the end, as I mentioned. So Cynthia, before I get started, have there been any questions come up? If there's anything else that attendees would like to accomplish today, now, feel free to go ahead and let us know.
There are no other questions that have come in.
Great. Okay, so we'll get started here. And what we wanted to talk to you today, what our ask is, the call to action is to the opportunity for us to be able to introduce BOC to you so that you can talk about it with your members. And we think it's a great idea for after today's presentation for you to take the information and consider hosting a BOC course on site, or perhaps send some personnel to open enrollment courses. So there's different options for providing BOC training and reaping the benefits for your organization. So I wanted to lead off with who attends our Building Operator Certification Training Program. And you can see here, it's kind of an interesting, pie chart. The sector pie chart, which you can see here in orange, around 19% of our attendees are associated with city or county government. So that's actually the largest sector that we serve. Coming in a close second is the college and university, which might also be relevant to you. We also have a pretty strong presence with the healthcare and the state and federal government sectors, and then other ones not listed here are K-12 schools are another large participant in our training. So that covers the sectors and really outlines for you that we serve the councils of government for you guys, the city and county and municipalities throughout the nation. But actually for these sectors, who attends the classes, and that has a very wide range, anywhere from maintenance mechanics, building engineers, HVAC technicians, building managers, and others involved in running the facility. We also see a lot of energy managers who might be taking the training and taking the knowledge back to their actual building staff. So we have chief engineers as well. Lots of organizations are doing kind of a train the trainer method. So we do see all varieties of people operating buildings, but we do want to note that there is a minimum experience of 2 years in operations and maintenance for someone to attend the training. And that's simply so that we want to set them up for success and make sure that they have the foundational knowledge that they need. So what do skilled building operators offer to the Council of Government Cities? So I just wanted to highlight here what our graduates are able to do. And we have over 500 city and county facility staff trained over the past 5 years there in the state of California. And what they're able to do by reducing energy waste in their facilities, that translates to being able to put dollars towards city mission activities. So if you're not spending money on energy waste, then you can be spending it on other critical activities. It also provides an opportunity for recognition with the leadership of cities and councils for having credentialed operators managing city buildings. So it's really good to kind of raise the bar for the department, and they understand that they have qualified, knowledgeable staff managing the buildings, and these buildings are oftentimes just the hub of community activity. So that's really the kind of almost the face of the city is its buildings. When people walk into the courthouse or the recreation center, what have you, it's great for the city councils, the leaders of your communities, to know that those facilities are going to be run to the most efficient and comfortable that's possible. So that's something that a value that we bring, that our graduates bring to you. And as I mentioned, the mission of the Building Operator Certification Program, there's other training programs for facilities personnel, but our mission is to really teach operators and managers how to reduce energy use. So how can you make the systems in your building work together so that they're running the most efficiently as possible and running at optimum level. And when you're doing this, what you're able to do is lessen the carbon footprint of the building stock, which there in California and and we're seeing that trend in other cities with more aggressive climate change goals. So we are able to help cities and the state overall achieve these climate change goals, which might seem aggressive, but they're achievable, and they're really required for us to have a clean energy future. So we're really proud of our impact on reducing the greenhouse gas and the carbon footprint of building stock, which besides transportation is really going to be the biggest carbon emission culprit. So, and we also touch on safety. So safety is of course paramount for every building owner, and for you as involved in city government. You want to ensure that your citizens and your staff are safe in city buildings, and we're able to train the building staff on some safety as well. Go ahead and move here. So I thought we could drill down now into how BOC helps meet strategic plan goals for local governments. So I've outlined here from the strategic plan some goals, and then the results that are being looked for, and then how BOC helps support those results. So the first one I've outlined here is from Section 12 of the strategic plan, and it outlines that local governments should lead by example, and that makes sense. If local governments are running efficient facilities and they're reducing their energy waste, then that sets a precedent for other buildings in the community to do such. So the result of this goal should be that the energy footprint of the local government buildings should fall 20% below 2003 levels by 2015, which is already behind us, and then 20% below 1990 levels by 2020, which is coming up here in just 2 years. So BOC is able to support the strategy to achieve this goal through our training operators so that they understand energy benchmarking is a big component of our curriculum right now, because without a benchmark and understanding what the original energy use index is and what your goal is, it's really difficult to achieve. So we're really proud of that aspect of our curriculum, as well as the commissioning piece, which once your energy use index is established and you understand where your building's performing and where you want it to be, then the commissioning aspect helps you set and achieve those energy reduction goals. And we've done just an average here of what our credentialed operators save their organizations each year in utility costs. Building operator certification is actually the only training program that has third-party verified energy savings, and those energy savings are actually recognized in states across the country by various utilities and PUCs. So this is a number that is from one of our third-party studies there in California. So operators oftentimes save up to 32,000 kilowatt hours of electricity use per year, and they also save about 525 therms of gas a year. So that equivalates out to about $4,800 a year. And there's some smaller subset of work on our effect on water efficiency, and of course water efficiency ties directly to saving energy. I've also outlined another strategic plan goal here for local governments, which is to kind of a transformation goal where they want the energy efficiency expertise to become the norm so that it's widespread and typical there between the local governments. So how BOC is able to support that is through the statewide effort to facilitate the learning and increase energy efficiency expertise through our training and certification program. So, and I apologize, my sentence here must have trailed off on the second bullet, but I talked a little bit earlier about how we see some organizations sending decision makers through the class so they can decide that once they have the knowledge, if they want to send more operators through, if they're going to share that knowledge internally. But really, what we pride ourselves on is the ability that we have for classroom training, for buildings personnel to come to class, exchange ideas with their peers, learn what has worked, what hasn't, opportunities and challenges that are common between buildings or might be unique, and they can share experiences on that. And that also comes from Section 12 of the strategic plan. So I'm going to talk next about some local feedback that we have from some government officials who have sent BOC operators through BOC, but I thought now might be a good time to pause and see if there's any questions, Cynthia, that I should address, or if you'll be able to handle them through chat.
Melanie, there aren't any new questions that have come in. It looks like everybody's able to get online, hear you, and yeah, so far so good.
Great, thanks, Cynthia. So our next slide, as I mentioned, is just some local feedback we have, some from California, some from your neighbors to the north there in Oregon. But it's really just a testament that the knowledge that's provided in the BOC program really is an investment in the buildings itself and the operators that manage those buildings, and then the customers, the ones who are walking through the door every day of whatever facility it might be. So really, we see a high return on investment. The cost of the coursework is worth it because they are able to apply that knowledge and, as I outlined earlier, see the concrete energy savings. So oftentimes the energy savings is the payback for the tuition, and beyond that, there are other benefits, such as just having a knowledgeable operator on staff. I touched a little bit, so I think we can, talk maybe just a few minutes about some of the details about BOC, some eligibility, some requirements of the program, the learning outcomes and the training format. So I've touched a little bit on that, but I thought it might be good to spend just a few minutes on how BOC operates so that you understand, if you're talking about the program or if you're considering it, then you would understand what it entails. So I had mentioned that there is an experience requirement for BOC, which is 2 years of experience in O&M of commercial facilities or energy management of commercial facilities. And we also are flexible and offer eligibility to be fulfilled through work experience, 1 year of work experience if someone has attended a local, maybe a college level education in facility engineering or energy management. We do offer 2 levels of training just to just to inform the attendees today, we have a BOC level 1 and a BOC level 2. So these are training levels, and they vary because the job performance outcomes and the learning objectives for each program is different. And as the name lends itself to, they are level 1 is more foundational, with level 2 building on the knowledge that operators glean from the first level, which focuses more on building systems. And then as they get into level 2, there's going to be more of an emphasis on troubleshooting and how to learn some more advanced skills and equipment. And we're also focusing more on the high performance buildings in level 2. So level 1, as I've outlined here, gives you the foundational understanding of all of the building systems and how those can work together to run the building at its most efficient. We talk about benchmarking, building energy consumption. So a lot of we have actually a class dedicated to instruction on the Energy Star Portfolio Manager platform, and how to use your utility data to find how your building's performing and where it should be and where it can be. We also teach operators to identify low-cost, no-cost operational improvements, so understanding that not all organizations can or need to make capital upgrades in order to increase their energy efficiency and decrease their energy waste. And then we also, one of the outcomes is for them to be able to establish or review a preventive maintenance program. So kind of giving them that skill set is one of the desired outcomes for level 1. And building on that, graduates can, once they complete level 1, they can decide that they want to attend level 2. So we really, one of our goals here at the BOC program is to continue to provide a community for the building operator profession, which there hasn't really been that before. We've been in the training business for the BOC's been around for about 20 years. So we're really excited that we're able to kind of provide that community and support building operators as they might be looking at their career pathway. And level 2, BOC level 2 might be a step along the way in their career pathway. So if they decide to attend level 2, then as I mentioned, there's just some more advanced skills and knowledge that are covered when it comes to actual equipment troubleshooting and operations. This is also where we have a water efficiency class that is, of course, very popular in California and some of our other drought-ridden areas in the United States. So we also touch a little bit on demand reduction, which I know is a topic of interest there in California and other states. So it's great that we are training people on all of these job performance outcomes, but how do we accomplish that? So the BOC program, it's a hybrid approach. So it consists of lecture, group activities. We also incorporate facility tours and tool demonstrations. So when someone comes to the classroom, it's not just 8 hours of lecture, but the classroom provides an opportunity for these other learning environments to take place. So we do try to schedule a tour of a facility so that operators can be led through by the buildings engineer and our instructor so they can see how other buildings work. We also encourage our instructors that in some locations, like in San Francisco, where the tool lending library is sponsored by Pacific Gas and Electric, we might be able to do a more robust tool presentation. But a lot of our instructors, they're all subject matter experts. They've all worked in the field, and most of them have tools, and they bring them and they demonstrate them so that operators understand how they fit into the skills that they're learning and how they can make their jobs easier. So attendance is required for the for the training. And then another component of the training completion is that there's a test at the end of each class day. So a student attends class, and at the end there's an open book 20-question test, and students must pass that test with a score of 70%. And the third component of our training is the project assignments. So these are really, I'll go ahead and go to the next slide. What we find are what, if you look at how adults especially learn, lecture is not retained at a high percentage, but when you actually are taking something and applying it is when the light bulb really comes on. So there is quote unquote homework for the training. So we have 5 projects in level 1, including an HVAC equipment floor plan, the benchmarking, which I talked a little bit about before, an HVAC operations map. They're also required to do a lighting survey, take a walk around their building and see what kind of lights are being utilized and where there's opportunities for improvement there, as well as an occupancy schedule project, which is another kind of low-hanging fruit opportunity. So BOC participants, kind of conceptually map the integration of a building's systems and how components interact with each other, the building, its occupants, and the environment. So participants, they can take these projects, and sometimes utilities are excited about the fact that they take these projects and then they know more about how to take advantage of utility incentives and rebates. So that's also an outcome that a lot of our graduates get is, and we also encourage our utility sponsors to come and speak at the classes so that our students know what incentives and rebates are out there, which increases the likelihood they'll be able to implement some of the skills that the knowledge that they learn and save energy. So as I mentioned, there are the attendance requirements and the test requirements and the project assignment requirements for our students to successfully earn the training certificate of completion. So that's our credential that students earn when they complete either level of training. They earn a level 1, TCOC is the acronym, or a level 2. Level 2 is outlined here. It's just 1 less class, 2 less projects, so it ends up being about 12 hours less time commitment for the level 2, but it's just more advanced and in-depth knowledge. We do require our operators, our graduates, to maintain their credential, and what this does is I talked a little bit about earlier in our third-party evaluation studies, and the fact that we our graduates are shown to save energy, is the longevity of savings is more likely if the graduate completes and keeps their credential current. So what that requires is for our graduates to attend continuing education or stay involved in the profession through taking a class or maybe leadership in a local facility management association. We also can give some points if they continue to be employed. And what we really like to see is when our graduates take what they've learned in the classroom and actually implement a project. And this slide just outlines our the BOC program's recognition and accreditation nationally. So we are an approved contractor for the General Services Administration. So I know we don't have federal customers on the phone today, but that is something that we're proud of, that we have achieved that approval, as well as we are aligned with the Federal Buildings Personnel Training Act. And this is something, if you work closely with building operators, they have some really neat tools, as I talked a little bit about earlier, kind of a career ladder, a career pathway for those in the building profession. So if you're not familiar with the Federal Buildings Personnel Training Act, there are some good career pathway tools and training rubrics that I would encourage you to check out. And if you're interested in that, feel free to follow up with me after today. And then, of course, we are accredited. We're an accredited program under IACET, which is the International Association for Continuing Education and Training. And our certification program is aligned with the International Standard 17024 for entities that certify personnel. And I didn't talk too much about our certification program. It's an additional credential that after people complete the level 1 training, as I mentioned, our efforts to keep the career pathway moving for our operators. It's an additional credential. It's a comprehensive exam that students can sit for and earn the additional BOC credential. So that's what this last bullet here is in reference to. So at the outset of our call, I talked a little bit about our ask of you. So I wanted to take a minute here to talk a little bit about registration options and what those could look like for you. So we are there in California where we serve the region, the state pretty well. We're in Southern California and Northern California, the Central Valley. We offer, and that's for open enrollment courses. So if you have not been to, and I was going to do this a little bit later, and I will take you on a quick tour of the BOC website, but I'll at that time show you an example schedule that we have some of our locations. So that's what an open enrollment course is. So that might be, oops, I keep doing that. What that would be appropriate for is if you only have, a handful of operators or customers that you want to send through the program. You could identify a training location that works. We are able to offer our COG partners a discounted rate, which can be negotiated on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes there's an offset of expenses that can be exchanged. For instance, a lot of times we'll work with a partner who has the ability to provide a training location. So then we don't have to find a training location that would charge us. So if you're looking to send someone to training, feel free to reach out to us and we can talk about some ways that we can work together. And there's also the option for a closed enrollment course on site for your organization. And that is an option that has been utilized by several of the COGs there in California. And it really works out well because it brings the operators together. We're able to, I didn't talk too much about our instructors, but of course, our instructors like when we have a closed course and they really can tailor the curriculum to maybe if it's, all for a city, they can really tailor it based on the expectations that you might have for those operators. And for both options, the course fee covers all of the training, the handbooks, which there's, this is handbook singular, but it's actually plural. So you get a separate handbook for each class. It also includes the project workbook, the tests, and the credential, which I mentioned earlier. So we just like to outline that the tuition is all inclusive. And I'm going to go ahead and transition over and let Kelly and Lee talk a little bit about Ventura County's BOC experience. But before we do that, Cynthia, I thought I would check with you and see if any questions have come in that we should address before we move on.
Sure. No, Melanie, no new questions. Everybody seems just fine.
Great, thanks. Okay, so now I'm going to find see, I'm going to unmute. Oh, Lee, it says I cannot unmute you until you enter your PIN. So I'm going to click that to send you your PIN. And Cynthia, you said Lee and Kelly are together?
Yes, it looks like
Great.
it. They're together.
Okay. So they have their audio PIN, so hopefully they'll be able to enter that. And Lee, if you can hear me, your audio PIN is 89. So it's pound 89 pound is what you'll need to enter. And if that doesn't work, I can make you a panelist, I think, and that would go ahead and unmute you.
Sure. And Melanie, she'll need to dial back in, starting with the 800
okay.
is what I believe she'll need to do.
Okay. I wasn't sure if she could just hit the pound sign and then the... So Lee, I'm not sure if you heard that, but it sounds like you might need to disconnect and then reconnect.
Yes, she's just confirmed via chat that she'll call back in.
Great. Okay. Well, while we're waiting on Lee, I'll go ahead and take us here to the BOC website and queue that up. Let me go ahead and shrink my controls here. This is our home page. So I will walk through that after Lee and Kelly talk a little bit about their experience. And then we'll have some time for questions at the end. And Cynthia, while we're waiting on Lee, I know that you might, if you have anything to add to the presentation at this point, now might be a good time to chime in.
Yeah, no, I think you did a really thorough job, Melanie. I don't have any anything in particular to add to what you've said here, other than that we've enjoyed working in partnership with councils of government, and would love to continue to do that. I don't know, Melanie, if you mentioned we are in the very kind of early stages of planning our 2018 calendar. And so if there are folks on the call who are interested in pursuing this, we'd like to talk with them in the next couple of weeks so we can follow up in terms of doing some polling of interest in their communities in partnership with them, and then blocking out some time on our 2018 calendar.
Oh, great, Cynthia. Yeah, that's a really good point, that we are in the beginning stages of our 2018 planning, and there's definitely opportunities to partner for next year. So please be in touch. And it looks like Lee is on the call and unmuted. So Lee and Kelly, if you're there, I'll just go ahead and let you take it away.
Great, thank you. This is Lee Walker. I'm with the Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance. That's our local government partnership. We do the administration of a lot of different programs specific to energy efficiency for our local governments and our county. We act as a liaison between our municipalities and different organizations and agencies, as well as our IOU partners. And so I was very excited about getting to participate in the program as an attendee, as well as being the host. But some of the key takeaways I've had is that, well, first of all, the instructors are extremely knowledgeable. They're very patient. They really make sure that the information is applicable. They also push very much having a whole building approach, avoiding reactive maintenance, and do more of a planned preventative maintenance, which can help save money as well as efficient, making the buildings more energy efficient, but also focusing on health and safety. So it's comprehensive. I think just about anyone who is involved in some portion of facility maintenance would benefit from the class.
Great, thanks, Lee.
And my name is Kelly Catnaw. I also too work for the Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance as well as the County of Ventura. And my dealings with the BOC training have been more on an administrative side. I've been working with BOC staff to coordinate the logistics of all the trainings. And I'm happy to say that it's been an extremely positive experience. They're very professional and easy to work with. They handle all the collateral material and the developing of the flyer for us. They handle all the email coordination with all the attendees, reminding them of the class dates and follow-up emails. They handled all the catering arrangements and everything. So actually all I had to do was secure the venues for our training classes. So that was easy to do within our facilities here at the county. So from an administrative standpoint, they're super easy to work with. They oftentimes have an on-site program manager that also attends, so they're kind of coordinating, handing out the materials and the signage in. So for us as hosts, they made our job extremely easy.
Yeah, and the feedback from the other members of the class has just been nothing but positive. Everyone seems to really enjoy the course and the material. Everybody's learning new stuff.
Great, thanks. And that's great to hear, Kelly, that you had a positive experience. We do try to make it as easy as we can for our partners, and you know, we each have our jobs, and our job is to run BOC training, and you know, we try to be sensitive to your all's day-to-day operations, but appreciate the support that you do provide. I did have a question on how you went about recruiting for the class. If you could maybe share that with attendees today, if you were able to, did you reach out to you know, the managers and get buy-in from them? Did you reach out to the operators themselves, or how that worked, and what the genesis of the decision was to hold BOC there in Ventura County?
Right. So being implementers of the Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance, as Lee mentioned, we have several partners, you know, municipal partners, small business partners. We work with the school districts. So our email list, I guess you could call it, for trainings in the area is quite robust. So we were just able to distribute the box flyer information through our existing channels of communication, and we're able to get our enrollment that way.
And the attendees in the class include staff from the school districts, from our local cities, from local hospitals, as well as our county hospitals and county staff.
Oh, great. Okay, that's really good background. Thanks, guys. And Lisa, you attended the classes and so you mentioned that. And what did you find? And I don't want to put you on the spot. I didn't prep you for this question, but you know, what did you find most challenging? So I know I talked a little bit about you know, the tests, or was it the projects, or was, you know, and maybe your greatest challenge, and then what you found most valuable from the experience.
So. First off, the most valuable is the knowledge that you get from the instructors, but also the information exchange through the interactive activities in the class. You really get to learn what some of the other facilities staff are doing, and the other energy managers. So that I found very valuable. But as far as the most challenging, I would have to say it's the test. It's not just memorization straight out of a book. You have to really know your information and be able to apply it. But in doing that, it helps you remember that information for your day-to-day job.
Great, thanks, Lee. And that, yeah, that means that it's working, that, you know, the tools we have in place are working, because as you note, then it does help you be able to retain that knowledge and then apply it later. So.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, thanks. And I will take a break right now and check with Cynthia to see if there's any questions. So from the audience, if you have any questions for Lee or Kelly, feel free to go ahead and type those in, or if you want to just raise your hand, we can also unmute you and let you ask questions that way at this time.
And Melanie, this is Cynthia. We don't have any new questions coming in.
Okay, well, I'm just doing a quick time check. We're about 15 minutes before the top of the hour, and I did just want to take you guys to the website. As I mentioned, I have it queued up here. Maybe. There we go. So this is our homepage, so the boc.info, and I just want to highlight some of the things that I referenced today, one of which being, excuse me, the California schedule. So if you go to our training and you go to the Find Training page, you can just enter a zip code here. So Lee, since you can unmute yourself, why don't you let me know what your zip code is?
Sure, it's 93003, right? We've got a couple of them, but 93003.
There will be a test, 93003. Okay, so you enter your zip code and it will bring up some training that will be close to you. And right now, as Cynthia mentioned, we're planning our 2018, so we don't have a lot open for registration right now. But I want to highlight here at the top, you have the 2 tabs for level 1 or level 2. So we're in level 1. You can see here some of our planned locations for 2018. Right now, registration's not open for them, but you can get notifications. So if you're interested, go ahead and sign up, and I encourage you to do this. I'll show you where our mailing list is, so you can be notified when a class comes to you. But here are just some sample locations. We're usually in the northern part, Santa Clara, San Jose, southern part, San Diego, Los Angeles, central, Sacramento, San Francisco is a late one for this year. And then our level 2 schedule, as you can imagine, is going to be a little bit, the availability is going to be a little bit less just because there's less demand, but we still try to be in the north and southern part of the state at least once a year. So if you're looking for training, I encourage you to just go to our training page, the Find Training button. As I mentioned, if you go to our homepage, here's Get Updates. So if you're interested in joining our mailing list so you know when courses are coming to your area, or if you want to be informed of, we do share a lot of good tips and other continuing education opportunities, sometimes sponsored by PG&E or Southern California Edison. I encourage you to sign up there. We do have a blog that features, it's our national blog, but some really good information on here. We did a post to honor veterans and remind you that you can use the holiday to check out your building automation system and make sure that your occupancy schedule is up to date. So those are just some different resources available on our website. If you're looking to make the case to bring BOC to your organization, the Why BOC tab will be really valuable. We have a different layout here that explains what the benefit is for the operators themselves, the building owners. This is where you'll find some of the third-party evaluation reports that I touched on. So if you need to pull some metrics, I encourage you to check out our energy savings summary and FAQ. That's a really nice 2-page summary of the evaluation work that's been done on the program. If you're looking for some bedtime reading, I would look into some of the longer comprehensive evaluation reports. And then,
Melanie?
Yes.
Hi, Melanie. We have a couple of questions.
Oh, great. Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think we can, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
So finish what you were saying, yeah.
No, I was just mentioning that this is a good tab if you're looking for ways to talk about the program, or if you have questions, this is just a good resource.
Okay, sure. So the first question is from Alice Ann Miller. She asks if the local government council is a council of governments you're referring to. And if I understand the question, what we mean when we say council of governments is sort of a broad word for the local government energy partnership programs. And so examples are the Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance that Lee and Kelly spoke about. We've also partnered with the San Gabriel Valley Energy Partnership in Gateway Cities, and are interested in partnering with other similar organizations. So I hope that answers your question, Alice. And then we have a question from Tom White regarding BOC's applicability to multifamily buildings and how BOC compares to the Building Performance Institute building operator training. And this is a great question, Tom. This was one that was recently explored in a now published study, draft study that's available for you to review, that compared BOC to the training provided by the Building Performance Institute. Unfortunately, the study only reached a very small population, so the results are not necessarily statistically valid to be able to apply more broadly. But what was found in the study is that the multifamily building operator is generally better served with the BPI, the training that's offered meeting the BPI standard. And the reason for that is that the BOC program is more directly targeted to commercial buildings. So in the case of city and county governments, we're not looking at multifamily buildings, we're looking at administrative buildings, courthouses, firehouses, libraries, those sorts of facilities, which, as you might imagine, differ quite a bit from multifamily buildings. Now, in the case of large multifamily buildings that have central systems, HVAC systems and lighting systems that are serving common areas in the building, BOC could be very beneficial for operators in those larger buildings. That would be a 50-unit or larger multifamily building. But if you're interested in the study, we can send you the link to find it and review it. Hope that helps. And let's see, it doesn't look like there are any other questions that have come in.
Great, thank you so much, Cynthia, very helpful. So as just to wrap up the website piece here, as I talked earlier, we have our training credentials, we have our certification credentials, and then this tab is if you've already earned your BOC, we offer a lot of resources on how to maintain it. So I'm going to just go ahead back to our PowerPoint here, and I want to just look at the time, and we have about 7 minutes left before the top of the hour. This slide does have our help desk information on it, so we have an email address here, we have a phone number, so feel free to reach out. You can also reach out to me directly. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. So without further ado, Cynthia, I'll check with you one more time to see if there's questions come in, and if not, I'll let Carrie wrap us up. Okay, well, I'm not hearing from Cynthia.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I had myself on mute, Melanie.
That's okay.
Let's see. Yeah, no, there are no additional questions. Tom has just replied that he'd like the study that I referenced. So we'll go ahead and email that to him.
Great, thanks, Cynthia. Okay, Carrie, well, no more questions. So if you would like, I'll go ahead and you can take the wheel back and wrap us up here. And I just want to take the time to thank everyone for joining us today, and thank Carrie and Grace, who's also on the line, for organizing it. It means a lot to have your support.
Awesome. Thank you, Melanie and Cynthia. I really appreciate your help today. Yeah, I hope this was really useful for folks. As I said, we will send out an email for the webinar so you can get a copy of the video. And then I'll also post this on eecoordinator.info. And so if you're on the weekly update, I'll send an announcement out through that as well on Monday. And so you'll have a copy of that, and you can go over it if you would like to at a later date. And if you have any questions, feel free, email Melanie or myself, and I can get you in touch with Melanie. But I think we will wrap it up from here. So thank you once again for participating. I hope this was really helpful, and thank you once again, Melanie and Cynthia. This was really great today. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Everyone have a great afternoon.
Bye, all.